Hi everyone, welcome to Tea Time with Tasha. My name's Tasha Berner and I represent the 77th Assembly District, which is coastal San Diego and the State Assembly. My podcast helps you learn about the issues or what's going on in California and the issues that matter most to you. Today's guest comes to us from the 79th Assembly District. She's an adjunct professor at San Diego State University and was district director to former Assemblymember, now California Secretary of State, Dr. Shirley Weber. Thank you so much for joining us, LaShae Sharp-Collins.
Thank you so much for having me.
Can I offer you some tea?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Look, and we even have San Diego mugs.
Can't
So
have
you
tea
getting-
with Tasha without tea.
I know. We get to spill the tea. People always think we say very exciting things. I don't know. I think it's exciting. We'll see. Let everybody judge for
Well,
themselves.
let's spill some tea.
Cheers.
All right.
Yeah. So, for people tuning in, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got your start in politics, and what you really care about?
Oh, where do I begin? I am born and raised in Southeast San Diego, which is, to me, I like to call it the heart of my district. And so being born and raised in that district, and literally all of my employment, school, everything has literally been within the 79th. And so me personally, me getting my start in politics, I honestly never thought that I would even be in politics, to be honest with you. But then when you're an education advocate for so long, you start to realize that education is politics. And so that's how I ended up getting involved, because education ended up being politics. And so I worked at San Diego State University for about 21 years, and working there, and of course working under our current Secretary of State. I was her department coordinator in Africana Studies. And when she decided to run, I just decided, okay, maybe I'll take a strong leap of faith and go into this political arena, as she was asking, would you be interested in trying to join, and applying to join my staff? And I applied, and then here I am. But I have to say that me getting into politics was something that I never thought that I was going to do, but it was laid on my heart by the Supreme Being, not knowing that I was already in it as an education advocate. And so I applied, got the job, and been in politics pretty much ever since.
You know, that's why I like you so much. I always say you're one of the best new additions to our freshman class.
Oh.
And we didn't know each other very well before you came in. And one of the things I appreciate you is your authenticity and how much you care. And I think one of the things about me is I never wanted to be in politics. I studied political science, but I studied European politics and war. So I never saw myself in office. And I think when you don't see yourself in office and you get in office, those are the best type of people you should have in office.
We have to
And
agree.
I see that in you. So you went from Lincoln High to the State Assembly, and so your journey has kind of come to a full circle. What does that mean to you to represent the community that you grew up in, you lived in, you worked in?
It means the world to me. I mean, I say that because if you think about the history, or if you know about the history of the community that I've grown up in,
Well, tell us about it. I don't think everybody knows.
it's not the most positive history, in regards to Southeast San Diego and the gangs and other things that actually happen or can still be happening to this day within that community. However, despite the negativity, the community is filled with love, is filled with care, and the community always came together to rally behind students, family members, business owners, small business, everything, whatever it is you name it, the community came together as a family. So when you talk about things that we have now with DEIA and trying to get rid of these things, that particular part of the district where I grew up was fully diversity, equity, inclusion, and access, and they make sure that we had it. So to be a graduate of Lincoln High School, where there was a stigma that was there, and to come out, go to college, obtain all three of my degrees, and then now move forward to the State Assembly, who would have thought?
Yeah.
Who would have thought? So this is it's a real full circle, and to have the opportunity to elevate the voices of my constituents, knowing that I've walked them out in their shoes. We may not have the same stories, but I can speak truth to power in regards to those stories, and because I'm in the community, there's connections with the community on all sides of it, whether it's businesses, whether it's education, whether it's dealing with the political side, childcare, all the issues that we're currently dealing with here across the state. I've shared in those experiences, but I've also listened to people's experiences from all different levels.
Yeah.
So it's good to be able to elevate their voices.
And I think that's true. My family's lived in Encinitas since 1924, and people are always shocked. And it was like, yeah, my grandfather had a different name than mine, And
when you come from that community, you've seen it, you've heard the stories, and it's part of who you are and your identity, right? And I think people forget that when we're up here and we're voting on issues. We all know people who have gone through these things, or they ask us things. I always get stopped in the supermarket. I'm not sure why anybody stops me while I'm shopping, but it happens quite a bit. And one of the things, I think one of the reasons that happens is people forget that we wear many hats. And you wear many hats. As an educator, you were district director, community engagement specialist, and you're a mom. So which one of these roles, if you had to choose one, which hat most guides your heart and your mind when you're deciding on your bill package, or you're voting, or you're speaking out for your community?
Just one?
You have to choose one.
Being a mom.
I'll give you a second one too, but yeah.
I mean, being a mom.
Yeah, right?
Being a mom, you have to be able to put kids first.
Yeah.
And if we don't get things right for our kids, then we are in a world of trouble. And so things have to be in place for my kids. I want to make sure that they have the opportunities that I didn't have.
Yeah.
And then if there's roadblocks or barriers that exist to keep them from getting to wherever they need to be, I want to be in that position to help break down those barriers. So if I had to choose one, it would be being a mother.
Yeah. And when you say my kids, you mean all your kids? Because I say
all of my kids.
I say my kids, but I mean like all the kids of California.
Of course.
Or the
all
world.
Children.
Sometimes I mean the world.
All
you know,
children.
that's weird, but you know.
All children.
All children.
All children.
And one of the things I think that, you know, being here 7 years that gets lost is that our investment in our kids now, whether it's their health, whether it's their education, whether it's their food, it's the best return on investment we can make. And there's, you know, in our budgeting process, which is like very wonky for those listening, it's a very complicated process. But we don't take into account what we do now and the impacts it has in 20, 30 years. Because it all does, right? And it's one of the things that I try to remind people of. So if you figure out a way to take into account return on investment in 30 years in our budgeting process, thank you. I don't know how to do it, but you know.
I'll try my best.
Exactly.
I'll try my best.
I think that's one of the things that I've noticed. When I came in, there weren't that many moms. There are few. There weren't that many. And now we have so many moms. And my sense is even when we may disagree on an issue, we have a similar understanding of the compassion of where people come from, because we're legislating with kids in mind, you know?
It's not only us doing it with kids in mind, but we carry so much on our backs.
Yeah.
And because of that, as I've always said to folks, that we always add a little seasoning to everything. So we put some flavor in that. And it's hard for us to be able to stay in one lane. As some people say, stay in your lane or focus on the area. So your area was comms.
Yeah.
So people will probably say, stay in comms area. Mine's education. But in reality, it's difficult to do that because our hands are in so many different spaces and so many people come to us for so many different things. And so we have to be abreast of those. And when it comes down to certain situations that we have to vote on or talk about, we bring those things back into the space of, hey, I've had experience here, experience there. So I always say we add a little extra salt, a little seasoning to it because our hands are in so many other areas. So we need to be able to speak up on those issues.
True. I also say when somebody says stay in your lane, I was like, they're all my lanes.
There you go.
Just don't tell me that. So that's a good little rule of thumb.
She said facts.
Exactly. Your work, I mean, one of the things you're known for is your work has always been centered around community. And whether it's reducing violence or making sure families get access to resources. What is the top issues you're ready to champion now that you're in the Assembly? Do you have I never had a 12-year goal. Do you have a 12-year goal, a 2-year goal? Or is there just an issue that you're like, this is the thing I want to work on because I know it's going to help California or our kids or something? Is there something in particular?
Well, I can't say a 12-year goal because things change. You have to be able to pivot as far as the times.
Yeah.
What I can say is that my goals is my constituents' goals. My goals are our goals. And that's how I have to approach the work. And so through the work, knowing before our president ended up putting stuff out for DEI, I was already having the conversations with community members and others in our Black Caucus in regards to DEI. And so one of the bills is to make sure that we are pushing diversity, equity, inclusion, and access, which is a Black Caucus priority. And that's at AB 766.
Okay.
So that is one of those bills. As we were preparing our legislative package for the year, I recall saying to staff, something is missing. And what I felt was missing was to talk about CalFresh.
Yeah.
We need to talk about CalFresh. We need to talk about CalWorks as well. And so I believe CalFresh is 1211 and CalWorks is maybe 1324. And the whole thing of that is to increase the overall, the eligibility requirement. So both bills require us for us to have an actual feasibility study. But the CalFresh is making sure that in light of different types of cuts that are going to be coming down from the state, from the federal government, let's make sure the state can still fund it at its current level, which is not that much.
And CalFresh is giving food to people who don't have food.
Giving food to
right?
people who don't have food.
Right, like just for those who don't always know. You know, as a mom, the idea of anybody going hungry, like, wrenches my stomach. Like, to think of a hungry kid at night just destroys me. You know, we always, you know, we volunteer at the food banks. We make sure the food banks have money. We, you know, during COVID, we all distributed food and all this stuff. And I think it comes down from this thing of people have to eat, and if kids aren't eating, they're not concentrating, they're not learning.
Right.
That's, again, that thing, right? The return on investment over the years. What does that mean? And I love that. And I think one of the things we forget in diversity, equity, and inclusion is under things like affirmative action, the largest group of people who benefited from affirmative action was white women, you know? And I think sometimes we think about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we forget, like, gender's included in that, right? Like, it's a, you know, and I've never really understood the attack, because I think the more diversity, the more richness, the better the creativity, right? And that better the creativity, the more innovation. And that's actually what California is known for. But I think it stems from our diversity. And when we crack down on that, we're actually tamping down on innovation and creativity and all the things we're known for in California.
Okay, well, when this bill come up, I need you to come on and speak, girl.
Okay, we'll talk about that. We have processes for stuff, but this is just a podcast. You know? LaShae, you're
Yes,
the
ma'am.
Assistant Majority Leader for Policy and Research,
Yes,
and I think you're doing an amazing job.
thank you.
I think I was the second Assistant Majority Leader for Policy and Research. I used to call myself the Queen of the Nerds.
I heard.
Yeah, and I love that job. And I think you have really taken it to a new level. Like, I don't know, we've been here for only a couple months, and I think there have been 5 reports that have come out.
So far, about 6.
6? 6? I missed one. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'll go back. I'll
It's
look.
okay.
And so, how do you like the role? How have you found it? What are the opportunities, and what else do you want to do with it?
I love the role. I am excited to be the Assistant Majority Leader in overseeing policy and research. It's been a pleasure to reach out to you and others that have come before me just to gauge you guys' experience and so forth. So thank you for sharing your insight with me. And being in the position, to me, has afforded me the opportunity to be able to share with all of my colleagues in regards to additional research that can be utilized to assist their overall plans and goals for how they're going to move forward with any type of legislation. And so I've been able to utilize the department to shed light on certain things to help shape whatever direction we are choosing to go, whether it's going to be us as a caucus or just you as the individuals. I've also had the team work with the actual consultants now for the committees as well to assist them with adding additional research to their analysis. So working with them has been great, making sure that we're elevating key issues up, especially our affordability conversation that we're going to be diving into. And so we're adding some additional research to that aspect, but then reminding members that this particular, this division is there. And while it's there, you may have an idea, but instead of you just throwing your idea out there ahead of time, we want to make sure that you have something to back it up. So thorough knowledge, thorough research, and give you time to work through that process. One reason why that I wanted to elevate that and make sure my colleagues are aware is because us new members, we only get 7 staff.
Yeah.
And so 7 staff total, that's district and capital. So by only having 7 staff, you're limited on who's going to be able to assist you with doing that research. So why not utilize the team? But also through utilizing that team, I'm making sure that we're having conversations about equity.
Yeah.
Everything has to be done through an equitable lens so people can understand the pros and cons of that work and they can make an informed decision if they want to move that bill or not. So I love the work. I'm excited. It's a great team. They are a wonderful team, and they have produced great work in regards to climate change, or executive orders following those,
Yeah.
and all these other things, just so
I
we can be
appreciate
on
that.
top of.
I can't always follow everything that's coming down from Washington, so I know it's been helpful. What I've been amazed at is I think you produced in 3 months the number of reports that I produced in like a year. I think it's just you've done a breadth of topics and you've really come in, and all I know is in caucus, like there's like another report, and it's all timely and it's all helpful. And I didn't think about the aspect with the new members and the staff on how that can be really helpful. And I think when we think about the affordability conversation, I mean, we all know California's been in an affordability crisis, not like it's new.
It's nothing new.
And I think, I know I have my bill AB 353, which is about broadband affordability, home broadband affordability. And I do have a consultant. I've been working on this issue for years and years and years. So it's not something I doesn't necessarily need to go to the policy and research team for. But there are definitely other issues that we'll go to in the fall. And, we're going to try to, I know we're supposed to use them while we're in session because our staff's usually, busy with bills and committee and analysis. But I just think it's a great resource. And you've come in and you've done it so well and so efficiently and so timely. And I just want to give you some kudos. So,
Thank you. Really appreciate that.
they're for our Democratic caucus, so most of you can't read them. But I really appreciate them. So
You're welcome.
with that, LaShae, you're a great addition to the Assembly. I'm so happy to serve you with you. And I want to thank you all for tuning in. Feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And share with all your friends. And until next time, stay curious, California.